And the thing is, it's not just now for P10, it's for P9 as well. It's 2 points now. It's double trouble. 1 point, 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's double trouble, puppy. It's double trouble. But Magnussen, no, Magnussen outbrakes himself. He locks up. He hits us. He hits Russell. He's broken Russell's right front end plate. Does Magnussen have front wing damage? Yes, he does. So. Turbocharged 51 over here. I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Turbo Fox Racers and welcome back to F122 to our Road to Glory career mode, driving for Williams Racing alongside Alexander Albon. Now guys, let's get straight into it. It's crunch time for the season. You guys know we don't have the full 22 race calendar. We're doing a 16 race calendar. And this is going to be episode 12 / round 12. And we are still the slowest car on the grid. And that is not a very good way heading in towards season 2. Because this race included, we've only got 5 races left for the season. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a little bit stressed about this one. Now, if you guys checked out the previous episodes, you guys will know we've got the strongest engine on the grid. So, chassis and aero, we are still way down below at the bottom. Reliability, we're third, but that doesn't really account to your average performance on the performance index. But with engine power, we've got the strongest engine. So maybe, just maybe, we can sniff some points this race. But like with every year's F1 game, there are certain tracks that the AI are OP at, and unfortunately, on this year's version, it is the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. So getting points is going to be a massive, massive ask, but I'm hoping with our engine and the few drag reduction upgrades that we have done, that we can actually get something going for ourselves. Now, you guys quickly saw the championship standings there with the drivers and the constructors. And I'm heading in towards the rest of this video with a bit of admin. Once again, the game wants us to choose a rival, and all the rivals that it's giving us is just we're gonna lose to them. End of story. So I no comment the rival status, and obviously you guys know why this happened. It's because I had to restart the career mode because the game accidentally deleted this one. And at the beginning of the season, obviously to make it to get ourselves on exactly the same points that we were before we lost our save, I actually had to put the game's difficulty quite down low. But in any case, so you guys can see we actually had our crankshaft upgrade fail, which to me was not very ideal. We still have the strongest engine, but now we're only going to have this upgrade at Monza, which is not a bad thing, but I would have preferred to have this one at Spa because it's also an engine power track. Your engine strength is the biggest advantage you can get here. But aero, we're still the worst. And also chassis. You guys know I'm going to work a lot on the chassis and the aero heading into season 2. But it's a very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? A very, I actually can't speak now. It's the part of the season where it's really crunch time. We can't afford to fall behind now. So I need to get upgrades on this car in all 3 departments, mainly chassis, then aero is a very, very close second, and power is a reasonably good third. But I can't neglect any one of the areas because then the car's just going to fall further away from the rest of the field. And we are so close to Aston Martin to not be the slowest car on the grid anymore. At this stage, my goal for the end of the season before we head into season 2 would be to be faster than Aston Martin and whichever team is above Aston, whether it be Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, I don't care who they are, but it's most probably going to be Alfa Romeo or Alpha Tauri, or maybe even Haas. We need to be the 8th fastest car heading into season 2. And hopefully by the end of season 2, we can be at the top of the midfield, or maybe if we're lucky, even close to the top. But you guys can just quickly see here, we did a rival challenge against the game's AI in the game. His name is called Tremblay. We took the 3 dubs. That final one was actually quite nice and action-packed. You guys saw the replay there. And we're now heading towards the Belgian Grand Prix weekend here at Spa. So once again, the crankshaft failed. We've already repurchased that, but we don't have many R&D points to play with, so I have to like grind practice to make sure that we get all the R&D possible. And as you guys can see there, in the performance index, let's run through it quickly and then I'll talk about it. So Ferrari are still leading the way with Red Bull P2, Mercedes P3. McLaren are in a world of their own in P4 with Alfa Romeo P5, Alpine P6, AlphaTauri P7, Haas P8, Aston Martin P9, and we are still sitting pretty in P10. But from Alfa Romeo all the way down to us, these 6 teams are so close together. If some upgrades actually fall our way by the end of the season, we can be ahead of Alfa Romeo. But it's still going to be a massive ask because obviously my career mode settings are to make it even harder. The AI can upgrade actually a bit quicker than us. But this is a road to glory, and we all knew what we were getting into when we started this season, and that it was going to be tough. So, yeah. But guys, at the end of the season, I would just like to be ahead of Haas and Aston Martin at this stage. So Aston Martin, I think, are going to stay the second slowest car. But whichever team is 8th, I want that 8th position in the R&D chart. That's going to be our biggest grind. But you guys can see Aero, we're starting to catch up to these guys. And that side pod, this is now post-practice. That side pod upgrade was, to me, the most important upgrade to do. We've done so much weight reduction and weight redistribution on this car. It's insane. But even though the engine upgrades were so tempting, I had to go for this side pod profile. This is a major drag reduction upgrade, and I'm gonna rush it to make sure it's here before Monza. So we've got a 45% chance of failure, but we need to do this because it's going to help us out a ton at Monza, especially having that crankshaft upgrade as well on the engine. Even though it's a minor part, the engine power with the drag reduction is going to be a massive dub for us. So let's hope these upgrades come in. We don't have another failure. But without further ado, it's time for quali. So, sitting pretty in our Williams in the garage. You guys haven't really seen the garage so much in my recent videos, so I need to get a little bit of this POV in as well. So guys, obviously, getting out of Q1, that is also, when it comes to qualifying, that's my main goal for start of Season 2, that we need to start getting into Q2, not just ourselves, but Albon as well. But still at this stage of the season, it's going to be very hard because we're going to be battling with AlphaTauri, Haas, and Aston Martin. And if you include us, that's 8 cars. And of those 8 cars, 5 fall out in Q1. So you've got 8 cars battling away. And it's going to be very tough, guys. But our pace was good. This very powerful Williams with its Mercedes engine in the rear was really going strong. And our first lap was terrible. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. You guys saw I went very wide at the final bus stop chicane. And there were a few parts in Sector 1 and 2 that I really messed up. On my second run, I mess up Pouan again, my favorite corner in Formula 1. I mess up Pouan again. But heading into the bus stop, I actually brake early enough, well, at the precisely perfect point, and we actually have a good run through the bus stop, which puts us P11 in between Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. So I felt good. Now going for our final lap here in Q1, hoping and praying we can get out of Q1 for the first time in this career mode and for the season, I felt good. But my second lap, there were a few spots where I, left time on the table, but it wasn't much. So this second lap had to be as close as perfect for me and for the team as possible. But you guys always know what I say. There is never something like a perfect lap. Even the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton says there isn't something like a perfect lap. There's always a place where time can be gained. So we needed to get a close as perfect lap as possible. And guys, I was just chucking the car around for this lap, just hoping and praying that the car would stick. Because you guys know with the new handling engine of F122, the rear end is sometimes so unstable. And because it's Spa and we're running extremely low wings and an extremely low car to the ground, the low car doesn't really unsettle the rear end, but with the low downforce, a slight little bump in the track can cause the rear end to just say bye-bye. So we really had to just, like I said, hope and pray that the car sticks. But you guys can see as all the other drivers are crossing the line, we are the final car on track. We have already gone down to P18. There it's P19 as I think it was Verstappen who crossed the line, or Perez. Now Tsunoda goes across the line. We are down to P20 and we are only 8/10 up on P16, which is currently Sebastian Vettel. We need P15 or higher to get into Q2. As we run through this final part and we go through Blanchimont flat out with F1 cars, heading towards the final two corners, the bus stop chicane, hard on the anchors, get the car turned in. Beautiful entry, and we need to nail this exit to not lose too much time. Over the outside curve, open up DRS, and we come across the line, and it's going to be Please be P15, please be P15, please be P15, please be P15. Come on, don't let me down. Don't let me down. Ferrari and Red Bull and even the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo looks pretty damn strong. No! Oh, guys, we lost out. Okay, we lost out with 4/10. If we wanted to get into P15 with Magnussen we would have needed almost half a second. Oh, my word. I don't know what Guan Yu Zhou is doing there in the Alfa Romeo.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team back in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special just around one of the many corners of this fan favourite circuit. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high quality racing as well. Simply put it, there's no place quite like it. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Sainz, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Norris. Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Gasly, and Esteban Ocon. Tsunoda, Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, and Mick Schumacher. Vettel, Russell. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. O'Connor and Alex Albon. Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. It's just about time to go down to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
That is what we're going to be trying to do, Mark. But guys, looking at the strategy, it's going to be a basic, you guys know me, hards to mediums or mediums to hards, and just check out the fuel. But guys, I just quickly want to revert back to qualifying. The Alfa Romeo is the 5th fastest car, and Guan Yu Zhou is starting from last place on the grid. That does not make sense. So Guan Yu Zhou needs to bump up his performance a bit. But guys, we're going to go for the hards and have the mediums at the end for if we have a good position in the points that we can actually defend. But it's P17 and 18 for me and Albon. And you guys can see everybody else is starting on the mediums. So I'm the only car that's going to be starting on the hards. Once again, throwing myself in on the deep side. but I'm just going to be hoping that our performance gains is enough to make us run with the 4 teams above us. We're not going to be running with McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull or Mercedes. That's a known fact. But the other 4 teams, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin and Haas, we need to be mixing it with these guys and I need to be hoping that we can actually get something done here. You guys can see George Russell has got a grid penalty. He's starting just ahead of us in P16. So he's going to be in the mix, and it's going to be tough to actually get some points this race. Like I said, guys, the AI are so OP at Spa, but we're going to have to try our best. We park up with 0.5 meters to perfect, and now it's time to get this race underway and hope for the best. We head to 5 red lights, and it's go for the Belgian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen on the front row, followed by Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton putting the second Ferrari under pressure as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc go side by side through the first corner, heading down the hill. Who will have the upper hand? Will it be the Ferrari or will it be the Red Bull? We've also got Sainz and Hamilton in the background, going side by side through Eau Rouge and up through Radion. Now going down the Camel Straight. Sergio Perez is getting in on this fight. Max on the outside, Charles on the inside. Will we have a 3-1 moment? Yes, we will. The Red Bulls are double teaming the Ferrari, heading into the chicane. There's no contact actually made, but the Red Bulls double team the Ferrari. Max is through, but Checo has the inside line for the next corner, and both Red Bulls do Leclerc and the Ferrari. Verstappen leads the way from Perez. Then it's Leclerc. Hamilton. Oh no, how is Lando Norris in P4? He's fighting away with Hamilton. Oh no, it's Sainz P4. Norris is fighting away with Hamilton for P5. I thought they both got the Ferrari there. That would have been terrible for the Ferrari crew. But Norris gets ahead of his fellow Brit in the Mercedes, and he is now in P5. Let's jump back to our POV for our start, guys. Here we go. Off of the line. It is such a... it was a very lackluster launch. We fall all the way down to P20. But luckily... Whoa! Stroll has a massive swerve there towards the inside of T1, but luckily we were ready for that, man. And we are now heading down the hill as Stroll and Zhou go side by side. Guys, this Alfa Romeo is the car to beat with the midfield. So if we can keep this Alfa Romeo behind us, things are going to look good. We now open up the taps going down the Camel Straight with overtake engaged. As you guys see, Russell is just ahead. But even with our extremely big engine, the fact that we've got so much weight on this car and so little drag reduction, great! Oh my word, I go for an insane dive up the inside of Russell and Vettel. Guys, I actually broke a little bit late there. I wasn't planning to go up the inside of Vettel, but if it works, it works. So we are now back into P16 as we go right around the outside of our teammate who's held up by Magnussen. But Magnussen and me are going side by side through No Name. We head now down to Pouan as we squeeze Max out. We actually enable our teammate to go past him. And sorry, it's not Magnussen, it's Schumacher. But my teammate goes for the inside of Pouan. We just sweep around the outside to keep this position. But now it's critical we catch back up to the pack ahead. But we have our teammate, it's P14, and we actually enabled Albon to get past Schumacher. So that was a little bit of teamwork there, even though I didn't really appreciate Albon going for a move up the inside of Pouan, because that cost us a second towards Ocon. But we are already back within a second. We just need to make sure that we stick with this Alpine, and even if we have to use a little bit more battery than we want, it is critical that we stay within that group so that we are within DRS when lap 3 starts. But Verstappen is on a mission. It's already more than a second to Sergio Perez as Max leads the way of this Belgian Grand Prix. Perez P2, Leclerc P3. It's Red Bull, Ferrari. Then Norris P5, Hamilton P6. Alonso P7, Bottas is in P8, fighting away with Daniel Ricciardo. Let's have a look here. Let's see if Bottas can defend from the Australian, who actually had a pretty good qualifying. Down the hill, will Bottas defend P8? Yes, he does. Ricciardo falls back into P9, and then you've got Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri in P10. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Unlike my team, where I don't have control of which drivers joins our team. Nothing against Albon, but I would love to have Gasly next to me next season, or I would love to get him that second seat, because he performs like an absolute animal. I won't be disappointed if Albon stays, but I think we need someone a little bit more higher up to get this, to help me get this car at least into the midfield. at the top of the midfield next season. But Bottas is now fighting away with Gasly as Ricciardo actually got past the Finn. And here we go. They go side by side into pool 1, and the more these guys battle, the better it is for us because we can close up to everybody behind. As you guys can see, I've made a move on Ocon and Magnussen, and we will watch the replays of those moves now. Heading through the bus stop, there was a massive little, I wouldn't say pile up, but these guys were in a train and they actually slowed each other down. So up the inside of T1, we just go for the dive on Ocon. It's a very clean, very beautiful move. And down the hill with Magnussen ahead of us, we now need to get this move done. But we head all the way into say, Sector 2 for this, and heading down into this hairpin. Magnussen just leaves the inside open. There was no contact there. And as he saw me coming up the inside, he had a little bit of kick of oversteer, and that is us now up into P12. Only 2 positions away from points. But we now look once again towards Bottas and Gasly battling away, and that was beautiful defense there from Bottas. But let's see if Gasly can get anything done for himself as we are sitting behind his teammate Tsunoda, who's right behind him. It's a beautiful 2 laps of racing so far, guys. The leaders are already running away. Like Verstappen all the way down to Alonso, are all just running away as if their lives depended on it. And Max himself is on another level this weekend. You guys can see here, we now look here at Tsunoda, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it's myself and Magnussen, as Magnussen tried to go for a move heading into Blanchimont, but he was not very successful. And with that, we just go for a dive up the inside of Tsunoda. Guys, these hard tires actually felt pretty damn good. Even though everybody else was on mediums, I still had the confidence to drive with them on their medium tires. But after we got Tsunoda and Gasly and Bottas settled into their race, they were gone. You guys can see by the end of lap 3, it's already 1.3 seconds from myself to Gasly. Well, now Tsunoda to Gasly as he overtakes me before we even get to Blanchimont. But guys, this is what I quickly started to realize. These mediums are now going to be a much faster tire. I just need to try and stick with Yuki. If there's any retirements in the top 10, we have the chance of scraping maybe 1 or 2 points for this Grand Prix. But we just stick with Yuki, and with DRS now being enabled, yeah, that's going to make our lives a lot easier because now we can actually fight. We can actually fight now with DRS. That negates a little bit of our heavy car and our very minimal drag reduction. So we have the DRS to help the engine along. So at the start of lap 4, heading down the Camel Straight, you guys can see I've used up a lot of my battery to try and stick with these guys. We are closing up to Tsunoda, and we go for the dive up the inside. Yuki leaves us more than enough room, no contact made. Beautiful, round the outside for the second part of the chicane, up the inside for the third part, and that is an easy move up the inside of Tsunoda. But it doesn't mean we're going to shake the Japanese driver. Heading towards the bus stop chicane. Tsunoda's very light on the brakes. He hits the back of us. That is front wing damage for Yuki Tsunoda. And guys, I did nothing awkward there. You just went for my usual line, and Yuki just broke way too late. So I did nothing wrong there. So that is basically Yuki's race over, because at the end of this lap, he's going to have to come into the pit lane and change that front wing. But hopefully he holds up Magnussen for the rest of this lap so that I can try and get away and have a little bit of breathing room for the rest of this race. But here we go. Magnussen opens up DRS, and he's so close to Yuki. And with Yuki not being able to brake us late or take the corners as quickly as he would want to, I think it's move one and done. But Magnussen maybe even tries to have a look up our inside. But luckily he decides against it. But that is Tsunoda down to P13, and it will be P20 pretty soon when he makes his pit stop. We now jump all the way to lap 9, guys, and I was actually able to really keep Magnussen behind me by some other miracle. We now look at our teammate Alexander Albon, who's fallen away from George Russell by 1.6 seconds. So Albon is without DRS and under pressure from Zhou and Schumacher. But oh no, not again. Not again. Oh, the smoke. Guys, once again, such a good opportunity for Albon to maybe get points. And just like back at Silverstone there for the British Grand Prix, his engine goes pop and he's out of the race. But guys, back on the other side of the garage, on our side of the garage, we are actually busy pressurizing Valtteri Bottas. Because thank you to my very, very active engineer, Bottas was struggling with some sort of mechanical issue, and he was slow. So we caught him, and with the start of lap 10, we go up the inside of the fin, and we are officially into the points. And guys, remember what I said at the beginning of the season. Any points with this team is a win, even if it's only 1 point in P10. Points is points. That counts as a dub in our book. Until this car is a proper points-paying car and fighting for points car, nah, any points will do. Because it's not fast enough to get fastest laps, you need to aim for P10 to P8 about, to realistically. It's only through luck and some very good strategy choices that we've managed a podium this season and some other good points results. But the leaders are in, as you guys can see. Verstappen is in, Leclerc is in, Hamilton is in, but Leclerc has been jumped by Hamilton in the pit lane, and now he's very, very close to Fernando Alonso behind. Well, Alonso is close to him, who is behind him. We are still going at least until lap 12, maybe even lap 13 on these hards, guys. So we come out right behind Fernando. That gives you guys an idea how much faster those guys are. They are already a pit stop ahead of me, and it's only lap 11. The race is halfway now. But, I mean, Spa doesn't have many laps. And, we were slow. But we are looking towards this battle. Magnussen. Because he's the main guy we're fighting, and you might even be able to throw Esteban Ocon into the mix. End of the next lap, Perez, Sainz, Norris, and those top three are in. But I think Max is going to have an easy lead, guys. I think he was about 4 seconds in the lead before the pit stops commenced. He did have to warm up those hards, though, so he might have maybe lost a second or maybe even a half a second. But I think Max will still be comfortably in the lead. So Max is already through. He's down the main straight, going through T1 now. Well, now he's going through T1. He headed into T1 as we spoke. And Max goes down the hill. Easy way, still in the lead. Perez is now P2 with Sainz P3. Norris is going to be P5 as Hamilton just gets past him. Will Hamilton be able to put Sainz under pressure? And guys, Leclerc, who started this race on pole, was relegated to P3 at the start, is now down to P6. He must be fuming in that Ferrari cockpit at his team. Oh my word, but here comes Lewis Hamilton on warm tyres. Warm tyres against Carlos Sainz. To the inside of the Ferrari he goes, but Sainz is not just going to let this go. He's going to defend with everything he's got. Up the inside of the Spaniard, and Hamilton gets the Ferrari. So we currently have no Ferrari on the podium. We jump to a replay here, guys. Now, this is Esteban Ocon and George Russell, who is also in the battle with me and Magnussen. So this is very critical to look at. I haven't boxed yet, but it's going to be very critical to see where they get released compared to Magnussen. And Magnussen will have the advantage on his warmed-up tyres. You guys can see he's dropped Bottas behind him. Bottas is really struggling with that mechanical issue, so he's no longer a factor. But here comes Ocon out of the lane. There comes Russell, but Magnussen will be ahead of them. Will Ocon actually be able to go for a move on these cold tyres? Let's have a look and see. Up the hill, through Eau Rouge, beautiful shot there. And Ocon, the Alpine, this car is not slow in a straight line. There's so much drag reduction and weight reduction on this car. It's just insane, guys. If we had their drag and weight reduction, we would be, honestly fighting for top 10 without even a shadow of a doubt. But because our car is so draggy and so heavy, we can't. So you guys can see, because all my rivals pitted and there's only 10 laps to go, the mediums will easily do 10 laps here around Spa. We pull the plug, we come in from P9, and we now need to hope that Ocon and Magnussen, their little battle cost them enough time so that we can come out or with them, or if it all goes well, ahead of them. But I'm off of the hards onto the medium so we can defend for this final stint and actually try and get P10 or P9. I don't think P9's on the cards today, guys. Gasly is long gone. He's trying to catch up to Ricciardo. So we come out right behind Esteban Ocon. So we need to do now what Ocon did the previous lap to Magnussen on these cold tyres. But the mediums will heat up quicker than the hards. So here we go. Overtaking gate. DRS is open. We dummy from the outside to the inside. It's a drag race between the Alpine and the Williams, but we've got DRS assistance into the chicane. We are a little bit later on the brakes to force Ocon a little bit off the road. Well, not force him off the road, but, leave him the minimal amount of space. And we are back up into the points, into P10. And at this, I was just like, tyres heat up. Tyres, please heat up for Sector 2 and Sector 3. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. But you guys can see things are going well. We've got 13.3 seconds to Gasly. So it's P10 or P10 that we're fighting for. But as you guys can see here, something that I didn't notice until I saw this was that we've got side pod and floor damage. Where I occurred it, I do not know. Because it never showed up on my MFD, I never hit anyone with that area of the car. And after the race, it occurred to me that I'm not going to spoil. I ran a too low car, and going through Eau Rouge and Radion, the car bumps through on the track, and that gave me floor and side pod damage. So I was driving with a wounded car now, and I don't know for how long I've been driving with a wounded car, but after the pit stop I could feel it, because it's once again that deteriorating damage where it gets worse as the race progresses. So going over curbs, going through Eau Rouge, even Pouon, which is it has a little bit of a dip in the mid part of the corner, I could feel that a lot more than I would have liked. So I was driving a wounded car and hoping to hang on to points. So our day just went from bad to worse. Well, not bad, but it went from already challenging to very challenging. As you guys can see here, Leclerc's actually been, he tried to make a move on Norris. Norris defended, and he's now under pressure from Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. What is going on with Leclerc? Has he been hit so hard by his team's bad strategy that he's struggling just to cope and have his bearings? It's very, very awkward. But now you guys can see Magnussen is back ahead of Ocon. I unfortunately missed the part where he made the move. But it's lap 15. There's only 7 laps to go. Well, 8 laps including this one. And we are fighting with Magnussen, Ocon, and Russell still. You guys can see that as how the cars bump through, going through Eau Rouge. Ours was just a lot more aggressive. And I think that's what broke our floor and our side pods, damaged them. So we are really driving with everything inside of us to try and keep this, but it's side by side for me and Magnussen, but I'm using my grip advantage. That's the only thing that's keeping me ahead of these 3 cars. And considering it's nearing the end of the race now, I was even though Russell was behind me in a Mercedes, it's for points. I'm going to be fighting Russell. So now we look at Carlos Sainz just trying to get back onto the podium and get past Lewis Hamilton to at least have one Ferrari on the podium. Because, guys, I can confirm Leclerc was struggling so much thanks to a car issue similar to the one of Valtteri Bottas, who's now down in P18. So Leclerc might even finish behind Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly if things keep going south. So this is really not a good day for Ferrari-powered cars. Thank goodness we've got a Mercedes engine in the back of our car. But Sainz gets ahead of Hamilton, but Norris is also in that fight. And you guys can see Leclerc's down to P7. Alonso is sitting pretty in P6, trying to catch up to Norris, Hamilton, and Sainz. Then you've got Ricciardo P8, Gasly P9, and ourselves are still fighting for P10, but 18 seconds behind Gasly. So we're not going anywhere except for P10, unless there's a retirement. But this man, Max freaking Verstappen, and I'm sure the crowd are busy singing Max, 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 Super Max, Max, Super, Super Max, because he is dominating this race, dominating his teammate. He is currently untouchable, and I think it's Max's to lose now, guys, without a shadow of a doubt, as he's taking a really awkward line into T1. What's going on here with Verstappen, guys? Verstappen is slow! No! If that is not the commentator's curse, I don't know what is. I literally sang your theme song, bruh. Oh man, I'm so sorry to all my Verstappen fans. Guys, Max is out of the Grand Prix. His car has broken down from the lead of the Grand Prix, and it's open gates now for Perez, as we've got a massive tank slapper coming out of the bus stop, and here we go. Magnussen is going for a move here, but there's yellow flags, K-Mag. You can't overtake under yellows. What are you doing, my guy? What are you doing? That's an illegal overtake. You can't overtake under yellow flags. I mean, seriously, FIA, are you sleeping? That's a slam dunk penalty, or you have to give me back the position. But now I'm under pressure from I'm under pressure from Russell trying to re-overtake him. What is happening? No, fam, no. That was an illegal overtake. The yellow flags were literally flashing on the boards, and Magnussen was just like, okay, you know what, screw you, I'm going for the move. Oh my word. I can't believe that. I honestly can't believe that. And now we're under pressure from George Russell, as he actually also got past Magnussen, which Magnussen actually deserved for overtaking under yellow flags. But that was an illegal overtake. And me and Russell made contact. We've got front wing damage now as well, guys. Look at the left front part of our front wing. It's lime. Okay, so it's not enough that we've got side pod and floor damage. Now we need to drive with a wounded front wing as well. Oh my word. And the thing is, it's not just now for P10, it's for P9 as well. It's 2 points now. It's double trouble. 1 point, 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's double trouble, puppy. It's double trouble. But Magnussen, no, Magnussen outbrakes himself. He locks up. He hits us. He hits Russell. He's broken Russell's right front end plate. Does Magnussen have front wing damage? Yes, he does. So much drama at the end of this Belgian Grand Prix. What was Magnussen doing? Has he gone kamikaze, Magnussen? Well, kamikaze Kevin. That sounds better. Okay, guys, this might work in our favor. If these two guys battle with their wounded front wings, they can keep up Ocon, Stroll, Schumacher, and Zhou. And even Bottas is trying to fight himself back into the points here, but I think it's too little too late. If these two guys can keep them back for a lap, it's lap 20, I can have a clean shot at P9 in the final 2 laps. Oh my word. Guys, we're going to have to look at a replay in just a second. But Magnussen sticks ahead of Russell and Russell ahead of Ocon. So yes, that's good news for us. We can now try and break away. But guys, look at this. Magnussen, Russell, has a little look around the outside. I close the door. And Magnussen just yeets himself up the inside. He breaks his end plate on my rear wheel. And by locking up, hitting Russell, breaking his right front end plate. But I mean, I know he locked up, but that was just way too late on the brakes. And I have to have the hands of a drifter to try and keep this Williams in a straight line. The car is so light on the rear wing now with the floor and side pod damage as well. Well, mainly the floor damage. That the car's already very unstable on the rear end. And I just had to have hands to make sure that the car doesn't go round. I'm very lucky there to keep the car in a straight line. But I mean, what was Magnussen thinking? Obviously, him and Russell are now down to P17 and P18 as those are the 2 final remaining spots after Verstappen and Albon's retirement. But, I mean, what a crazy race. Perez is going to win this by a mile as we started the final lap. Sainz is going to get a good P2. He's broken away from Hamilton. Norris is trying to get ahead of Lewis to get McLaren onto the podium, but I think it's too little too late. Alonso is going to get a brilliant P5 for Alpine. Ricciardo P6, Gasly P7, Leclerc's fallen all the way down to P8. That problem has really cost Ferrari today, so Leclerc's going to be fuming. And then we are fighting for P9. Now guys, as this final lap started, I saved up battery. I was going to push like a madman on this final lap. Keep an eye on the gap between myself and Ocon to give you guys an idea how slow this car still is compared to an Alpine, which is no longer the 4th or the 5th fastest car. And how much the damage really hindered us, because I was going for my personal best lap, which I got. But that doesn't mean the car was fast. The gap is now 1.7. Wait for sector 2, where the car needs the cornering grip. Keep an eye on that 1.9 second gap, trust me. And you guys can see fighting for the wooden spoon between Magnussen and Russell. Can Russell at least get a little bit of redemption on Magnussen after Magnussen ruined his race as well as his own race? Let's see what happens here between Russell and Magnussen. Magnussen is currently just, sticking ahead. And Russell is not near enough, not close to near enough. But Sergio Perez crosses your line to win the Belgian Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz will get P2 for Ferrari. Hamilton will be on the 3rd step of the podium for Mercedes. Norris 4/10 behind Lewis. Alonso P5 and Ricciardo P6 with Gasly P7. Leclerc a disappointing 8th, I'm sure. And we are still battling for P9. And guys, look what I said. End of sector 2, the gap between myself and Ocon is 4/10. But luckily, I've got a lot of battery to just absolutely yeet through this final part, through Blanchimont, all the way to the bus stop chicane. You guys can see I'm just using the battery to make sure I stay ahead of Ocon. We've got 2 green sectors, a very wounded car, tires that are over 50% at the front. But through all the drama, we have survived. And 2 points is 2 points. P90 at Spa!
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they persevered to take the win here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Our championship leader is still sat at the top of the standings, but their rivals have made up some solid ground today. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
But there's no question in my mind, it has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
Let's move on to the constructors. And Red Bull take over as championship leaders. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, with only 4 races to go, I think we all can't wait to see what's next. Guys, even though Leclerc got P8, I don't think his championship is going to be under threat from Hamilton, Perez, or Verstappen. But I mean, especially after Max's retirement now, 60 points to Leclerc, Perez 55, Lewis 54. It's not happening. But guys, we are going to be under pressure from Ricciardo and Alonso. You guys saw there how close they were to me. If we can get P10 in the drivers, I'll be happy. But with Alonso's P5 and us and Ocon's P10, even though it's only 1 point and we did outscore Ocon, it might be looking very grim for P5 and the constructors because Alpine have come to play. And Alonso is on insane form. Look at his last 3 races. P5, P6, sorry, that's a Ricciardo. P7, P5, P5. And Ricciardo's on 44 points. Alonso's on 42 points. We are on 63. If we just keep getting P9, P10 for the rest of the season and they get P5s and P4s and P6s, we're going to have a problem. But I wouldn't mind ending below them. P10 is still fine by me as long as we stay ahead of those 2 Alpha Tauris and they don't just absolutely explode with performance. But guys, that is what the standings are like currently. I would love to keep P5 in the constructors, but with Alpine's current form, with Alonso especially, that might be a very, very tall task. We've got Italy, Singapore, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi to go. That's the 4 races left. Singapore, I'm reasonably strong. Monza, we're going to have to wait and see if that drag reduction upgrade comes in that we've rushed, and if the car's engine performance will deliver anything for us, because that is the main thing. We need to have that all those things are sorted. Otherwise, we've got a problem. But then Singapore, like I said, I'm strong. Monza, not so much, but I'm going to hope that the car carries me. Brazil, reasonably strong around there. I'm hoping to have a good race there with, once again, the car straight line speed. The middle sector is just going to be very tough if we don't get a few aero and chassis upgrades on the car by that time. And then Abu Dhabi with the new track layout, who knows what's going to happen. But guys, that has been this video. And very dramatic Belgian Grand Prix. And a lot of, the odds were stacked against us, but we still got P9. We still got 2 points. On the other side of the Williams garage, it didn't go as well as we would have hoped for Albon with his retirement. But I think at least Albon wasn't in the points like a certain Max Verstappen retiring from the lead of the Grand Prix. But guys, yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to drop a like down below on the video. It's only going to take you a nifty 2 seconds. Guys, make sure to go check out the links in the description down below. follow me on social media and share this video with your friends. Tag me in the post of the story and I will give you a shout out in a future video as well as on my social medias. Guys, the channel has been booming recently. The support from you guys has been insane, and it can grow even more if you guys share it a bit on social media. So make sure to tag me in the post of the story so that I can give you a shout out. And guys, finally, if this is your first time viewing Turbo Fox Races and you haven't yet subscribed, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe down below and don't forget to ding that bell to never ever miss a future video here on Turbo Fox Races. Welcome to the family, you insane Turbonatic. Guys, it's crunch time for the rest of the season. It is now or never. We need to take off the sandbags. Not that we have any sandbags, but it's crunch time. It's now or never. I'll see you guys next video. Love you guys. Cheers!